Up, Abby, said Quinn, rolling her eyes. But I was awake. I paid attention to everything. The way Quinn paused between cartwheels to throw her ponytail into a bun, twisting her hair before wrapping it tight. How Marin drank from her water bottle, examining the metallic rim to make sure that her lips landed in the exact same spot as the light pink gloss marks left from an earlier sip. How when Riley and Jada cartwheeled right into each other, they collapsed into a happy heap instead of getting upset. Paying attention to other people was what I did best, most of the time. Miss McIntyre appeared at my side. She was the kind of teacher who could sense what was happening, even if she didn't know the details. "Abby," she said, bending down to whisper in my ear. "You okay?" I nodded, squeezing every muscle in my face to hold back tears. Miss McIntyre smelled like roses and sunshine. Her eyes glowed with kindness. She placed her palm on my back and rubbed tiny circles. I wanted to lean in and to pull away at the same time, to start over and never, ever try again. The recess bell rang. Miss McIntyre hung back with me while everyone else walked ahead. I thought I could keep the tears inside. I really did. But then Quinn raised her cupped hand to Marin's ear to whisper something. Quinn glanced back at me before repeating the motion with Riley. Quinn's gaze was a laser that shot straight into me. Once the tears started, I couldn't stop them. I stood at the edge of the field crying into the arms of my favorite teacher while everyone else in my class walked back into school. 2. That night, a note from Miss McIntyre was paperclipped to the back of my vocab quiz. "Abby, I know you had a hard day. If you could see my journal from when I was your age, the pages are filled with so many hard days. Sometimes I read what I wrote and wonder how I survived 5th grade. But I did survive. And you will too. I'm always here if you want to talk some more. Sincerely, Miss McIntyre." I could not imagine Miss McIntyre ever feeling the hot sting of embarrassment that I felt at recess that day, but I could imagine her writing in a journal. Miss McIntyre swooned when talking about a book that she couldn't wait for our class to read. She did a funny celebration dance on library day, and sometimes, when I wrote something she liked in my weekly reflection, she drew a tiny pencil heart in the margins, both sides equal and round, with a perfectly crisp point at the bottom. I reread the note. If you could see my journal. I tried to picture Miss McIntyre's journal. Maybe it had a bouquet of flowers on the cover. Maybe she wrote in pink ink, or alternating colors. Did they even have colored ink back then? The more I tried to imagine what Miss McIntyre's journal might have looked like, the more I thought about the notebook that Grandma had given me a few weeks before for my 11th birthday. She'd slid it across the kitchen table in her apartment at the retirement village in Florida. I'd flown down all by myself from New York to spend the weekend. "For you," Grandma had said, keeping both hands on the gift. She had an intense stare, a steadiness in her eyes. Like she was not only looking at me, but looking into me. I lifted the present into my lap, grateful to have something to focus on other than her face. Sometimes Grandma's gaze made confetti bombs of excitement explode in my belly. A sparkle in her eyes signaled that she saw the whole of me and loved me just the way I was. Other times that same look made me want to curl in a ball and roll away down a giant hill because Grandma seemed to be searching for something to pull out from deep inside of me. This was one of those other times. I didn't know what Grandma was searching for, but I guessed that it had something to do with the present. I unwrapped the silver paper to find a fuzzy green notebook with an A